Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, KANU, and the Ghana Police Force on Saturday last destroyed 2,000 kilograms of cocaine and 2,000 kilograms of marijuana and other illicit drugs on Homestretch Avenue. The drugs destroyed were accumulated over a 2-year period. The destruction of the narcotics was overlooked by Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben, head of KANU James Singh, and other senior officials. Minister Ben says since taking office, government has had significant success in relation of the seizure of illegal drugs, destruction and capture of planes and persons trafficking illegal drugs.
The result is, I think we have at least 3 pilots of Brazilian origin in the prisons, and some others who are also Guyanese, of course, who are also in prison. The number of planes destroyed, I think we have 3, and we recovered 2 whole, which will be put to use for operations of the police and the military.
The minister also highlighted that government has been working to build the capacity of prosecutors to have more convictions in the courtroom.
There has been some training provided together with the Attorney General's chambers, with agencies in the United States and others, either virtually or directly, face-to-face, with respect to prosecutorial training for the persons who have to go to court representing the state in respect of these and other matters.
Several community roads and bridges within the Enmore Hope Neighborhood Democratic Council will soon undergo rehabilitation works for completion before year end. The local organ will also receive $2 million worth of crusher run to do such works. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal made this disclosure Friday evening during a meeting with the councillors and residents. He said these works will be done via the local organ's $5 million subvention.
We can do some substantial road work in Enmore this year. Enmore Falls. So I would like you guys to sit and decide which ones you require. The position of the president is that all community roads are going to be upgraded into asphaltic concrete. Right? And we recognize that the frustration that you have, but most of the roads that we're doing right now are roads where people really never had street or proper roads.
Prime Minister Brigadier retired Mark Phillips, who was performing the duties of president, paid his respects to Shahid Mohammed, the late Imam of the Queenstown Masjid on Sunday. The Prime Minister, who was accompanied by several government ministers, gave brief remarks at Imam Mohammed's funeral service held in the compound of the Muslim Youth Organization.
I thank you for the opportunity to address you, and I ask that patience and understanding be with you today as we are here to mourn the passing of Imam Shahid Mohammed, but more than that, to reflect on his life of selfless service to the Muslim community and to Guyana, and to his leadership in the Muslim community. May Allah give him Jannah. May his soul rest in peace.
Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgell has instructed that immediate works be done to roads at Onderneming Sandpit on the Essequibo coast. Minister Edgell Sunday last met residents of the community who were protesting the state of the road in the area, blocking trucks from entering for commercial purposes.
We will do an immediate maintenance to allow for residents as well as commercial activity to continue. The region will have to monitor what is happening on the road and occasional maintenance to ensure that it's possible until we could get mobilization and a contract and the rest of it awarded to get things moving on the road. That's the only solution that we have forward.
Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa, Director General of the Ministry Madan Lal Ramraj, and a team of agricultural officers visited the Mortis Primary School in Maikoni to address the concerns of residents related to the government's flood relief grants.
What I came here for this morning is to put a mechanism in place so that those persons who would have had questions, who have queries, who want to ensure that they get a fair deal, that's the mechanism I want to put in place here this morning.
Minister Mustafa said names of farmers were derived from an assessment done by the agricultural officers to determine their losses.
Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat charged the newly appointed multi-stakeholder group of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative to work in the interests of all Guyanese. The multi-stakeholder group was launched, the second of its kind, on Monday at the Main Street office of the Ministry of Natural Resources. The responsibility of the group is to implement the standard of the Global Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative.
We as a government, we are committed to ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in all sectors. In all sectors, more so the revenue earning sectors, which is referred to as the extractive sectors, oil and gas, mining, forestry. And I want to say too that every single member of the MSG and the Secretariat is important to this process. There is no one that is less important than the other one. Whether you're from civil society, industry, or government, we are all in this together as a team, and we hope that we can work together.
Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, says staff at the Infectious Diseases Hospital at Lilliendale have been doing a tremendous job in providing healthcare services to patients with COVID-19. The minister was speaking during Tuesday's COVID-19 update.
We have full complement of staff, both for nurses and doctors. I think we have at the facility more than 55 doctors that work there, and they care for approximately 120 patients on average. We do have physiotherapy staff that would go in to work with those people who are recovering. And I think they have been doing a tremendous job because a lot of the persons who come to that facility are really sick, and especially those that require ICU care.
Minister Anthony also noted that the second floor of the hospital has been outfitted with pipe oxygen to provide additional support to patients.
Our capacity at Ocean View is 204 patients, so we haven't gotten to full capacity as yet. We are hoping that we don't have to be there. But nevertheless, we have been making some additional preparations. Right now at the second floor of the Ocean View Hospital, we have just put in piped oxygen. Before on that floor, we used to do from these 1,000-pound cylinder oxygen. So we're changing that, and now we have piped oxygen.
The minister says preparations for a field hospital is also being put in place to accommodate up to 60 persons, as well as regional hospitals are being expanded to treat and manage COVID-19 patients. Some 4,000 residents on the east coast of Demerara will benefit from the new $152 million Luziknan well being drilled by the Guyana Water Incorporated. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell and Chief Executive Officer of GWI Sheikh Baksh visited the site on Tuesday and inspected the ongoing drilling of the well.
The assessment is that it's going to be completed by the end of October. I'm happy about this because the cluster communities it will be benefiting from the improved service when this is finished should be here, Luziknan as well as Annandale nearby and Good Hope.
The old Luziknan well had collapsed earlier this year and numerous attempts were made to conduct repairs, but to no avail. A decision was then made to drill a new well in the area. The Barima-Waini region will soon undergo a number of developments in the agriculture sector. This announcement was made by the Minister Zulfikar Mustafa during his visit to a number of communities including the villages of Kamaka, Wauna, Kamwata and Whitewater on Tuesday. The minister said among the many developments that will take place in the region is the establishment of an agro-processing facility in Mabaruma.
We'll be building a new brand agro-processing facility for you here. Your crop, we'll make it more value-added. Instead of taking your crop from the farm and go straight to the market, you take your crop to the agro-processing facility. We have our officers who will be working there. They will help you package your crop, and we will find a market for you.
Several community roads, including the main access road in the Fowles community East Coast Demerara, will soon be rehabilitated for completion before year end. Minister Nigel Darmlal made this disclosure Tuesday evening during a meeting with residents and members of the Buxton Falls Neighbourhood Democratic Council.
We have already done the assessment of many of these roads, right? But they will come back and then they will do some additional road work to the ones that we committed last week, right? Because we wouldn't be able to rebuild all 21 of the roads right now, 20 and a half, sorry. So what can be repaired? Between now and the end of the year, we will start doing some repairs on these roads.
Minister Darmlal urged residents to discuss with the relevant authorities to decide on which roads will be addressed. The ministry will also conduct maintenance work on several bridges within the area. 12 visually impaired persons will benefit from a 2-day training in block making and money management under the Community-Based Employment Stimulated Project, a program initiated by President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali earlier in May. The program was launched to provide vulnerable communities with economic opportunities and later extended to upskill vulnerable persons with disabilities. On Wednesday, the certified training program was launched through a collaboration between the Central Housing and Planning Authority and Guyana National Bureau of Standards. Minister of Tourism Unuj Walran, who attended the ceremony, said the trainees can develop skills to meet market demands despite differences.
This particular event, starting today, clearly demonstrates that physical challenges do not have to be barriers to a successful life. It also demonstrates the commitment of our administration to the concept of one Guyana with a better quality of life for all Guyanese. We believe that no Guyanese should be disadvantaged, regardless of race, creed, social status, or indeed, as we see today, physical abilities.
Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell reassured attendees that the government will continue its campaign to support and provide further opportunities for persons with disabilities.
Your participation in this activity will allow those who are willing to make the commitment to become exposed to the world of work, of course in a more structured manner, to become entrepreneurs yourselves, better provide for your families, and ultimately have an improved quality of life. I want to remind you that your government is fully committed to the improvement of the living conditions for persons with special needs through better facilities, services, and job opportunities.
Meanwhile, Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, reiterated government's commitment to providing opportunities for vulnerable persons. She also stated the important role they play in the country's development.
Persons living with disability have a unique set of talents and skills to contribute towards the development of our country and towards their own personal upliftment. And we want to be able to help them and to provide as many opportunities as we can to help them to succeed.
For the duration of this project, employment will be created for approximately 400 persons. Residents of Plantation Hope Housing Scheme Region 5 will soon benefit from improved infrastructure and security. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell on Thursday engaged residents as part of an outreach to the Mahaica-Berbice region. During a meeting held at the community ground, the residents raised concerns of safety due to deplorable roads, poor drainage, and inadequate street lights. Minister Crowell committed to donating a number of street lights to the community. Further, his ministry will be upgrading the community's main access road by the end of the year.
Through the Central Housing and Planning Authority, we will immediately donate 5 lights for you. Immediately. So you'll have to strategically decide where the best positions to do this, place them. The security aspect obviously has other implications, and that has to be dealt with at another level.
Meanwhile, Minister Crowell also inspected infrastructural works ongoing at the new experiment housing scheme, where more than 500 house lot beneficiaries will be able to access their lands. The Ministry of Public Works has allocated $380 million in contracts for rehabilitation of roads in Region 3. At the contract signing ceremony, Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, urged contractors to employ residents to complete the work.
And we expect that the contractors would, when they're operating in the area, use community labor as much as they can and services from the community as much as they can. Because sometimes the community themselves have persons who can do the work, and you're seeing persons from outside coming into the community to do work that they themselves can do. So we are asking and we are saying to the contractors, when you go into these communities, look for workers in the communities that can do the work.
The contracts awarded for rehabilitation of roads was as a result of the persistent pleas from the residents, farmers and commercial businesses in the various communities. The contract for road repairs to the Scoonard Main Access Road was awarded to Mohammed Fawaz Bacchus Construction and Transportation Service, while the contract for Canal Number 1 was won by Jap Arts Construction Incorporated. The contract for Canal Number 2 and Bell West Community was won by Aramco Services Incorporated. Residents of Leluni will soon have improved access to their homes and farms. This was a commitment made to them by Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgell during a meeting to fix the community's main access road.
I want you to name 3 people from your community who the engineers will come and go the road with, so we could do some sectional maintenance and we could agree on what is the bad spots so we could get an immediate relief. I would want that by next week, Monday afternoon, by next week, Monday afternoon, we could agree that your committee and my engineers on what we will do as an immediate intervention, and we'll be able to look at the cost, and then I will have the headache to find the money with the support of what you're doing to get done what needs to be done.
Residents also took the opportunity to raise other issues affecting them in the community. Minister Edgell has assured them that every concern raised will be directed to the relevant subject minister. Some $59 million in home improvement subsidies were disbursed to 118 low-income families in Sophia, Georgetown. This initiative falls under the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program being executed by the Ministry of Housing and Water's Central Housing and Planning Authority. Speaking at the contract signing for the distribution of the grants on Thursday, Minister Colin Crowell said the initiative will improve the housing conditions of citizens and will also increase access to critical infrastructure and enhance mobility and safety within Sophia.
My friends, your communities will be better. Your government has carefully considered the needs of your community, and we are confident that all of the benefits of these interventions that will be accrued to you will bring betterment for all of us as we march towards the path of a one Guyana.
Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, noted that this and other developments ongoing in Sophia will add tremendous value to the community.
As we all know, and we're not going to deny it, has a stigma attached to it, a negative stigma. But that has not prevented our government from making a decision to expand this housing scheme and to put down the first foundation for houses in this community. We have built the access into this community. We have built the first foundation in this community. We are building the first homes in this community. We will develop and transform the face of Sophia.
The U.S. $28 million Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program seeks to improve housing conditions and access to basic infrastructure for low-income communities. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgell is dissatisfied with the pace at which construction is ongoing at the Leg 1 and Bartica stellings. The minister made this clear to the contractors after making site visits to the 2 stellings on Thursday. The Leg 1 stelling is being rehabilitated to the tune of $413 million by Esmeraj Contracting Services. Minister Edgell explained that the contract for Leg 1 stelling was once terminated by the government and the contractor came to a settlement on the way forward.
So today I basically went there to see what would have changed, so to speak, since the settlement. We've gotten some piles driven, but the general attitude and pace of work has not changed. As a result of that, I've asked the Attorney General that we have a discussion with the contractor on Monday with the Transport and Harbours Management.
The minister also expressed his displeasure with the pace of work on the Bartica Stelling. He noted that the work, which started under the previous administration, was scheduled to recommence in June of this year. Courtney Ben Contracting Services Limited is responsible for the project. Minister Edgell explained that a settlement was also reached with the contractor to have the works completed. However, like the Leg 1 Stelling, not much work has been done.
I would expect that Bartica be completed by the end of the year. But you saw 14 piles driven in 2 months, 300 and something piles still lying in the water. Just do the math. Things have to change. I called the contractor while I'm there, and we're going to have a meeting in office with him in the new week as well. Because it would appear that unless you get on the case, so to speak, using the Guyanese parlance of these contractors.
The restoration of Guyana's historic City Hall is set to be completed by March 2023. The $780 million project was signed and awarded to Fides Guyana Incorporated on Friday at the forecourt of the City Hall compound. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Darmlal, says the restoration of the building is part of a greater development for the country.
The restoration of City Hall should not be seen as something that is by itself, but it is part of the greater whole in terms of how we are pursuing development in the country. It is quite an extensive and expansive exercise that His Excellency is pursuing, and we hope that it will redound to the benefit of the citizens of Georgetown.
Meanwhile, Minister within the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, Anand Prasad, says government's initiative to restore City Hall is one that will continue to boost the tourism sector.
By embarking on this initiative to restore City Hall to its former glory, which will promote and preserve our cultural heritage and continue to boost our tourism industry.
The restoration contract is a collaboration between the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, the European Union, and City Hall. This contract will see the use of Guyana's own resources, inclusive of wood and local labour. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.